Hello everybody, Jacksepticeye here. Today we are jumping into something brand new. It is Farming Simulator 25. I've heard so much about this game. People say it is super relaxing. So I wanted to see for myself. I booted up the game on this fine day, July 14th, 2025. The main menu looked so peaceful. There were green fields and a big blue sky. I clicked on New Game and started to make my very own farm. It was time to become a farmer. I felt a little bit of that PMA, positive mental attitude, kicking in already. Creating my character was the first big step. I tried to make him look a little bit like me. Of course, he needed some bright green hair. You have to represent. I named my farm Septic Acres. It just felt right, you know? The game then asked me to choose a location. I picked a place with lots of hills and trees. It looked like a real challenge. I didn't want it to be too easy. I wanted to work for my success. The game loaded up and suddenly I was standing in front of a small farmhouse. This was my new home. It was quiet, and I was ready for an adventure. The game gave me a quick tour. It showed me my first tractor and a few small fields. Everything was so detailed. You could see the little bits of dirt on the tires. You could hear the birds chirping in the trees. It felt so real. My first mission was simple. I had to get my farm ready for its first crop. The game told me I had some starting money. I had to be smart with it. I couldn't just buy the biggest, most awesome tractor right away. I had to start small and build my way up. This was going to be a journey of patience and hard work. So there I was, standing on my own land. I had a small house, a couple of machines, and a big dream. The dream was to build the best farm ever. I looked out over my empty fields and smiled. It was a blank canvas. I could plant whatever I wanted. I could raise any animals I liked. The freedom was amazing. It was a bit overwhelming, but in a good way. I knew this was the start of something special. It was time to hop into my tractor for the very first time and get my hands dirty. Well, my virtual hands anyway. Getting into that first tractor was so cool. The inside was super detailed, with all the buttons and levers. I pressed the button to start the engine and it roared to life. Vroom, vroom. The sound was so satisfying, I felt like a real farmer. My first job was to cultivate a field. This means getting the soil ready for seeds. I had to attach a big metal tool called a cultivator to the back of my tractor. It took me a few tries to line it up perfectly. I had to reverse and go forward a bunch, but when it finally clicked into place, I cheered. I was ready to plow. Driving the tractor across the field was so relaxing, I just had to keep it in a straight line. I went up and down the field row by row. The dark soil turned over behind me. It was like drawing lines on a giant piece of paper. It took a while, but I didn't mind. I just listened to the sound of the engine and watched the world go by. After cultivating, it was time to plant some seeds. I chose to plant wheat. It seemed like a good, solid choice for a beginner. I had to buy the seeds from the in-game store and fill up my seeder machine. The seeder was another cool machine. It attached to my tractor, just like the cultivator. As I drove over the prepared field, the seeder dropped the tiny wheat seeds into the ground. A little icon on my screen showed me how much seed I had left. I had to make sure I didn't run out before the field was finished. It was a simple task, but it felt so important. I was literally bringing life to my farm. I was creating something from nothing. This was the core of the game, and I was loving every single second of it. It was so peaceful. After planting, I learned that I had to wait. Farming takes time. You can't rush it. The game has a feature where you can speed up time, which is very helpful. I watched as the little green shoots of wheat started to pop out of the ground. They grew taller and taller over the next few in-game days. It was amazing to see my hard work pay off. Soon the field was a beautiful golden color. That meant it was time to harvest. This meant using the biggest and coolest machine of all, the combine harvester. I was so excited to finally drive one of those big boys. After getting the hang of crops, I decided it was time to bring some life to Septic Acres. It was time for animals. The game has so many different kinds of animals you can raise. You can have cows, sheep, chickens, and even pigs. I decided to start with some chickens. They seemed like the easiest to manage. I had to build a chicken coop first. I went into the building menu and placed a nice little wooden coop near my farmhouse. It was so easy, just a few clicks. Then I went to the animal dealer to buy my first flock of chickens. Taking care of the chickens was my new daily job. They needed food and water every day to be happy and healthy. I had to buy chicken feed from the store and pour it into their feeding trough. I also had to make sure their water was always full. Happy chickens lay eggs, and eggs mean money. Every morning, I would go to the coop and find a bunch of fresh eggs waiting for me. I collected them in a basket, and then I could sell them at the local market. It felt so good to see that extra income coming in. Plus, the chickens were just cute to watch. Once I mastered chickens, I decided to get cows. Cows are a much bigger responsibility. They need a big barn and they eat a lot more food. I had to make special food for them called Total Mixed Ration, or TMR. This meant mixing hay, silage, and mineral feed together in a special mixer wagon. It was like being a chef for cows. It took a lot of work, but it was worth it. Healthy cows produce milk, and milk sells for a lot of money. I would hook up a milk tanker to my tractor and sell it. It was a huge part of my farm's income. Caring for the animals was one of my favorite parts of the game. It added so much life and routine to the farm. It wasn't just about driving tractors anymore. It was about responsibility. I had to check on my animals every day to make sure they had everything they needed. If I forgot, their health would go down, and they wouldn't produce anything. It taught me the importance of consistency. The animals depended on me. It made the whole farm feel more alive and meaningful. And who doesn't love seeing a field full of happy cows? So, I have to tell you about something hilarious that happened. I was trying to transport some logs with a big logging trailer. I had just cut down some trees and was loading them onto the trailer with a crane. The physics in this game are so funny sometimes. I accidentally dropped a huge log on top of my tractor. The log was so heavy it flipped my tractor completely upside down. It was just lying there in the field, wheels spinning in the air. I couldn't stop laughing. I had to buy another tractor just to drive over and flip the first one back over. It was pure chaos, but it was brilliant. What I loved most about Farming Simulator 25 was the sense of accomplishment. You start with almost nothing, but slowly, piece by piece, you build a massive, successful farm. Buying a new, bigger tractor after hours of hard work feels so rewarding. Seeing your fields full of crops or your barns full of animals is just the best feeling. It's a game that rewards your patience and your planning. It's not about quick action or fighting, it's about building something you can be proud of. It's a different kind of victory, and it's wonderful. I think this game is for anyone who just wants to chill out. If you love games where you can build and create, you will love this. If you like seeing progress over time, this is the game for you. It's also great for people who are curious about farming but don't want to get their hands dirty in real life. You get to use all the cool machines without any of the stress. It's a perfect game to play after a long day when you just want to turn your brain off and do something calm and repetitive. It's a digital escape to a simpler, quieter life. In the end, I realized why farming games are so much fun. They're incredibly relaxing. There is no pressure. You can go at your own pace. The simple act of driving up and down a field, listening to a podcast or some music is a form of meditation. It's satisfying to bring order to the chaos and watch your work grow into something amazing. It's a celebration of hard work and nature. So if you're looking for a game that's a little different, a little quieter, and a whole lot of fun, you should definitely give Farming Simulator 25 a try. You might just find your new favorite way to relax.